So I have the pleasure of introducing you to Mihai, who is another one of my fellow senior community members, and he is going to talk to you all about the software testing tools Chronicles. So Mihai, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody for coming here and not going to the other room. So today we'll be talking about testing tools, right? And we're going to talk about a bit about the market and everything. But before we do that, I got good news and I got bad news. So the good news is we're gonna have a lot of fun, right? And I got a lot of information here that will last us probably for the next couple of hours. Which brings me to the bad news. Thank you for sitting here with me and skipping lunch. So, jokes aside, I'm starving as well. But I've been in the testing industry for the last 17 years, and I suffer with probably a bit of testing fatigue as well. And I've started off actually by accident in the testing industry. Back in God knows, I can't remember even when I started. It was supposed to be a 6-month job before I went back to real work in Oracle. That was 17 and a bit years ago. So I don't know if something went horribly wrong or very right for me. But I worked in the testing space from different angles. I worked in delivery, I worked in sales, operations. Now I'm working in partnerships. So I've seen pretty much everything, from all angles, from the client's angle, from a delivery consultant angle, from a partnership angle, from a sales perspective angle, from a people manager angle, from all the angles you can think about. Okay. So that being said, this is what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to go a bit about doing a bit of reflection on the testing tools and how they kind of spread out in the market. We're going to talk about how the market looks like right now, and we're going to talk about some of the trends, the future trends, and then we're going to obviously open up for discussion. But before we start, I'd like to just point out something. So the other session that Paul is leading, Paul and I will go way back together. So we're very good friends in that sense. He had a bit of reluctance yesterday. He hadn't done a presentation in front of people for a long time. So his imposter syndrome kicked in. So on that note, I like to help him quite a bit by doing something very fun. And that is, on a count of 3, I would like you please to all clap and cheer like as if world peace has ended, and so that he will feel threatened and he will feel absolutely bad for being in the other room. So on a count of 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. That made my day. So I'm going to make this interactive as possible. So if you have any questions, please stop me in the middle of it. I also speak very fast, and I'll probably mumble and stumble through some words because, as I mentioned, I'm very hungry, and I only slept like 3 hours because I finished this last night at 1:40. But damn it! All the pictures that you see here generated in the background are generated by myself with ChatGPT. Yay! And if you haven't noticed the pun to my name, it's me.ai because I came first before AI, so I know best what I'm talking about in terms of AI. I also, out of my many thousands of qualities, I think that being humble and being modest is probably number 1 and number 2 quality that I have. There's more we can discuss at break. So let's talk about some of the classics here. And I don't know why this Zoom thing is in the way here. We'll start with the classics. So basically, IBM, and of course, when I copied the PowerPoint, it all went out. So IBM started off back in the 80s, acquiring the software testing tools from Rational. Everybody here familiar with Rational? So count your blessings. And the Rational tools were actually pretty good. Rational Quality Manager, ClearQuest, all that stuff. That was acquired by a company called Rational, which was supposed to be here. Then they got the stuff from Telelogic. And then the funny part about IBM is that it had great products. It had Jazz, it had Team Concert, it had Doors, it had everything going on for them. And for their lack of poor leadership, all those testing tools have gone to waste. unfortunately. So that's why I made the comment, who knows? And recently, the IBM software has actually been sold off to HCL Technologies, and nobody has heard ever since. Now, in terms of Mercury Interactive, who in here remembers Captain Mercury? 1, 2, 3. You're really making me feel old. All right, so Captain Mercury. So Mercury Interactive was a beast back in the day. I'm not sure if you guys can see the bottom of the screen here. It was established in '89. Then in 2006, HP took over it. Funny enough, if you don't know the story about Perfecto Mobile, which obviously is in the business of mobile testing, Perfecto Mobile was actually a spin-off from HP, trying to create a mobile testing solution faster than the internal organization would allow for. And then when it was time to reacquisition it, Perfecto said, "Sorry guys, we're going on our own way." So that's why HP was actually behind mobile testing, in case you didn't know. So Perfecto Mobile continues as is today. And then, of course, in 2015, we've got the infamous split between HP and HP Enterprise. Who remembers that? You guys remember that? Okay. Fun fact: I was working for HP back in that time, and for 6 months they couldn't even cut codes to customers just because of the split between HP and HP. It was a complete shit show, if I'm allowed to say that. Meanwhile, from a cybersecurity perspective, we had Fortify that was acquired in 2010 by HP, which is now one of the big standards in security testing. We also had Borland that with the Silk tools that were actually acquisitioned in 2009 by Micro Focus. And then in 2017, we had the split between HP that took out their Computer Services Corporation, CSC, and turned into DXC Technology. And then obviously Micro Focus took over the HPE, the Hewlett Packard Enterprise software. Now, OpenText right now is what I call an OG tool vendor, right? Because they have been in this space for a long while. They have a very, very large market footprint. And they've since been acquired by OpenText, but they have everything. So they have test management, they have full functional automation, full non-functional as well, performance security, you name it, they've got it. And now most recently, they've also invested a lot of time and money and energy into rebranding their tools to Value Edge, just because they're copying TaskTop, if anybody knows TaskTop, right? So that's for HP, well, HP, OpenText, whatever. Now Tricentis has followed a similar path of mergers and acquisitions and trying to beat Micro Focus in that sense. They've also been established in 2007. Ever since then, they've acquired a bunch of tools and bunch of capabilities. So they got Flood for performance testing, they got Live Compare for SAP, they got SpecFlow for BDT, they got NeoTest for performance testing, TX3 for compliance testing as well, and the ability to run in audited environments. And then last but not least, they also acquired QA Symphony, which was Q-Test test management tool that was established back in 2011 by a group of companies that are rooted in an Eastern Asian organization called KMS Technologies. And fun fact, the same person, the same founder who's built Cobiton and who's built QA Symphony is the same person who's built Cobiton and Catalan. Cobiton is meant for mobile testing, whereas Catalan, where I currently work in, I'm not going to say anything anymore. Where I currently work in, we're in the business of functional automation, and now, as of this year, into test management as well. So that's pretty much in a nutshell the main OGs, and I call these the classics. Any questions here before I move on to the next slide? In a very dramatic way. Right. So more information about other tools, and these are some of the tools that you actually need to look into if you're in the testing space. If you don't know these tools, then you really need to reconsider your life choices. You have Atlassian, obviously, with Jira, that has permeated the market like no other. If anybody in here is asked, have you ever used Jira on your projects? Probably the answer will be yes, right? Has anybody not used Jira by raise of hands? I raise my case, Your Honor. So we got Worksoft for SAP. We got UiPath and LeapWork that have been predominantly an RPA solution that have been. You can see. All right. So RP solutions that have then decided, okay, the RP market has plateaued out, so we have to reinvest ourselves into testing. So they are now working tirelessly into penetrating the testing market as well. Amplitude, Tasktop, SmartBear, Keysight, all great. We actually have Jonathan Wright from Keysight talking about quantum testing, which is going to be probably one of the later sessions in the PM. I strongly recommend you go see what he has to say. Also a good friend of Paul, so Paul won't mind if you go to his session and miss out Paul. And another thing is. Oracle, SAP, and ServiceNow. Did you guys know that Oracle, these three major technology providers have actually built their own testing platforms, their own testing systems? Lot of heads. So the funny part is when I used to work for 8 years at Accenture, and so we were involved a lot in the Oracle practice. And every time somebody would used to come and say on a client, do you guys have experience with testers with OFT, which is Oracle Functional Testers? Oracle functional testing, and my response would be yes, we do have skills, but both of them are rather occupied right now, and that was really prevalent for what Oracle, SAP, and ServiceNow are doing, because you won't find people with skills in those testing technologies. Oracle, SAP, and ServiceNow are actually using other technologies from the other commercial off-the-shelf providers out there. So it's not usual for people to go and consume Oracle, SAP, and ServiceNow testing tools because they're just not that big a name in the market, but they are out there, just in case you're wondering. So now, again, everybody has realigned to match the AI narratives and focusing on AI plays, of course. You also have the displacement plays as well now. For instance, UiPath is running a rather merciless campaign versus UFT to convert clients from UFT to UiPath. Obviously, this is all rooted in how they need to generate revenue. And yeah, I mentioned the rest of that stuff. Now, in terms of open source, so we have Selenium, we have Postman, we have JMeter, we have JUnit. Does anybody know this guy by the name of Scott Moore and JMeter? You gotta Google after this. Just remember this: Google JMeter's free Scott Moore, and you'll find a lovely musical put together about JMeter's free, with a white dude from the States with a Jamaican accent trying to make a funny musical act. So it's actually very funny. And of course, we got everybody that's. And by the way, do you know where Selenium comes from? The naming.
The element.
The element. But what is Selenium used for? It's used to treat mercury poisoning. So Mercury Interactive. That's why Selenium was actually named that way. Fun fact. There you go. I've made my job. Everybody knows now something fun. Trivia fact for trivia night. Now, so everybody's now looking. Everybody's going in the same direction. Everybody is drinking the Kool-Aid, and the aid is spelled AI.D because everybody is now into the AI business. Whether it's just smoke and mirrors, whether if it's just real platforms and real solutions, everybody's just going full gung ho into AI. So that's about it. Now, oh gosh. This color scheme is killing me. Has anybody seen Loki? It's the season 2. Well, that's Loki here in the center holding all the timelines. The whole idea was the whole fun was that all these timelines from the testing tools go into summer. But now in this case, Loki actually equals IT. Now I was actually asking Maddie earlier. So do you guys know how much the global testing, software testing industry is worth today? Or in the future? Oh, thank you. Nobody said yes. Right. So right now, the global spend on discrete and embedded testing services is roughly around $35 billion. And this is in 2023. So we are actually probably at around 40 to maybe 45 this year. And despite the post-COVID era and whatnot, testing has continued to grow at an impressive rate, and it's actually estimated to grow up to $90 billion by 2030, right? So these are not low numbers. And I mean, you were asking earlier, you're asking, how do I go and position myself as a valuable member of the testing team within my organization? Well, these are some of the numbers. Testing is actually a huge industry right now and continues to grow. Okay. And the overall IT spend is about 5 trillion in 2024 on average. And the AI market, I mean, look at that craziness. The AI market is 200 billion in 2023, and it's estimated to grow to 1.8 trillion by 2030. And these are just conservative numbers. Nobody really knows how AI is going to take off. So let's look at what the service providers have done out there. So all the IPPs and the large consultancy brands, again, have locked horns and have engaged in an AI race, right? And they're investing tens of millions of dollars into their platforms and projects. And they're also going out on a spree of mergers and acquisitions. So you'll see a lot of companies being acquired and being merged with the large service providers. And that leads to a whole bunch of new things implemented. So I see a lot of uneducated comments on LinkedIn. Manual testing is dead. Testers will be replaced by AI. And I fearlessly call, Maddie, are you ready for this? I fearlessly call this bullshit. Okay? Because right now everybody's thinking we're gonna implement AI and we're gonna not need testers anymore. Nonsense. Who do you think is going to test that AI system? We will. How do you think that the data models will be tested from AI? We will, the testers, right? And in fact, with all the vendors that have launched the AI solutions right now, it's actually shown that the manual and automation testers' time spent on validating those results and from the AI systems actually increased. So we're actually spending more time on AI rather than just move out the AI trainees coming. Right, but then, well, of course, we have the legislation in the European Union. We have the AI Act. We have the other standard that you guys obviously need to be informed and aware of, which is the 42001 for governing AI effectively. This is something that needs to be reviewed as a policy in each and every single organization where you have AI systems being deployed for testing or for just regular development consumption. Thanks to Mr. Trudeau and not thanks, Mr. Trudeau. Thanks to Canada for two things this year. Number one is the $1.7 billion in federal investments for AI. The other one is Deadpool 3. So looking forward to that. And then you got fierce battle for skills. Do you happen to know what a senior AI researcher salary in the US is right about now? Anywhere between $800,000 a year to $2 million a year. It really makes one question their life choices, doesn't it? I'm here doing this job in testing, and should I be there? Anyway, there's also obviously the ethical dilemmas, and you can see obviously the crap being thrown around between Elon Musk and Sam Altman. I also had another joke about do you know what's faster than the speed of light? Well, there's two answers to that question. Number one is the number of AI experts, certified people that are popping up on LinkedIn. And number two is the speed with which Sam Altman manages to be fired and get a new job at the same time over a single weekend. Right? But anyway, I mean, you're looking at the same news, so we all know what's going on in there. Now, let's look quickly at what the future trends look like. So back to the future.
Now, yes.
Right. So I've actually instructed ChatGPT to give me, and you can't see the bloody thing because it's very dark. Yeah, again, it looked really great on my screen. You gotta trust me. But it's basically the DeLorean, and the funny fact is I've actually asked for the Back to the Future DeLorean, and ChatGPT actually returned an error message saying, sorry, I can't give you anything because of copyright issues. I was like, okay, that's a first. But anyway, so it's a DeLorean heading into a black hole, and on the side you got a spaceship. The question that I had was, find Waldo, find the differences between what was speculated a few years ago and what's speculated now about the future trends. And this is from another speech that I did at Eurostar back in 2021, I think, in which I was talking about the trends as per Gartner and other sources around quantum technology, distributed cloud, AI engineering, a lot of this stuff. Guess what? Nothing's changed. A lot of things have been added, but the same trends remain. I mean, there's nothing fundamentally different than what we had a few years ago. Maybe more so. We have more trends now and more areas in which we can train ourselves up and become more proficient at, especially in the realm of AI. So this is actually something that actually makes a lot of sense. What Gartner says right now, we have three major philosophies for testing right now, and three major methodologies. One is going to be the manual-driven testing, which is mostly around exploratory testing, and everything else that revolves around manual testing. If anybody says manual testers are going out the door, again, complete BS. Nobody's going out the door. Manual testing will always be there, no matter what people say. Also, fun fact check. Does anybody here follow James Bach and Michael Bolton and their words on LinkedIn? Yeah, I see just one head. No, good. I've actually unsubscribed and I'm actually not following them because they're actually doing more damage to the industry than they are doing good. Now, if this is my personal advice to you, don't look at the nonsense, at the infighting that happens on all the social media between. We shouldn't be calling this automated testing. We should be calling this automated checking and whatever else. Again, BS. I call it BS. You have a bunch of people with egos the size of World Trade Center that think that they can influence an industry worth $50 billion right now. Think again. I myself, I'm a purist. I'm a context-driven school of thought tester. I've always been of the opinion, I need to go and educate my clients. But then I realized, to what end? They want to call it automated testing. I'll go with that. I mean, I don't care. At the end of the day, I'm getting paid. I'm putting food on the table, and that's what matters, right? Who cares if it's called automated testing or automated checking? Nobody. Well, except Michael Bolton and James Bach and whoever else has all these funky fights on the internet. But anyway, so you have the manual testing, you have the automated testing, which is the traditional way of doing automation, which is human assisted. So you have a bunch of people scripting away, doing automation where it makes sense, because automated testing is regarded sometimes as a silver bullet, but it's actually a red herring because it doesn't really do what it's supposed to be doing, and it's not the the magical one that will all of a sudden get your releases out in production that much faster, right? But then we also have a new concept now introduced called autonomous, which is autonomous automation, which is the machine-driven automation, where you have systems and bots and AI agents that actually generate automated scripts for you. And this is an area that I strongly advise you to look into, because this is where we're going to have a lot of effort and a lot of developments in the very near future. And then in the AI augmented testing space, Gartner says this is what we're going to be using AI augmented testing for, which is test creation and maintenance, test data generation, visual testing, defect analysis, and planning and prioritization. Right now, for a low fee of $5 I will give you this slide in the break. $4. Right. Almost last slide, so I'm good with timing for once. So let's look at the trends. What I know from different multiple sources and quality reports that have been published this year, where we're looking at. So in terms of platforms, nothing's changed. So we're still looking at B2B and B2C types of applications. We're still looking at mainframe and legacy. Whoever says COBOL is dead and mainframe is dead, they might think again. Those are very much alive. I actually had the pleasure of working with a guy. That famous joke about COBOL developers are dying. Actually, I was in a team that sadly had a guy who was really he was really a hoot to work with, and he passed away. Yeah, and he was a COBOL developer. So those things unfortunately are real. But mainframe is not going anywhere. That's my whole point. We have all these technology platforms that are coming from startups and all these innovation and unicorns and all the other sort of mythical animals that people can think of. We have the packaged applications from Oracle, SAP, Workday, Salesforce, all of that stuff. We got blockchain. Everything around API testing is super huge in blockchain. Virtual reality with experiences, with the VR, different VR experiences, wearables. We also have a lot of new a lot of testing that needs to be performed in a new field, which is spatial computation, especially used for mixed realities and all sorts of other types of technologies. Now, in terms of delivery models, same thing applies. Shift left, shift right, shift up, shift down, whatever, doesn't matter. Agile. Okay, I'm not going to talk about agile. Yeah, but the same thing remains. I mean, you still have testing competencies, you still have TCOEs, you still have quality factories. Nothing changes. You still see this pattern of decentralization, centralization going on in large enterprises, and then obviously the smaller teams doing whatever makes sense to them. In terms of hyper automation, this is also super important, because if you're looking at just automation, you need to look at the traditional stuff, which is human assisted, autonomous AI, which is the machine assisted, RPA. Although it has plateaued, it's still useful, especially in the operational side of the business, and especially in very tedious workflows and so on and so forth. Now, everybody claims out there that they have a low code or no code test automation solution, right? That's not necessarily a good thing, right? Especially with the no-code solutions. Just try to see if, for instance, with Tricentis, I've had a lot of people coming back and saying, you know what, I can't do anything because my script is actually locked behind the no-code wall. So I can't do anything with that script. And if my application changes, that script is basically gone bye-bye. So no-code solutions are not necessarily the best solution out there, but they are enablers, and they are empowering you or your teams to actually perform, to actually develop scripts much faster. So they are good. Also, something that you touched on earlier, which is about green testing and sustainability. So a bunch of us are actually organizing. There's a new special interest group in BCS, which is going to be all around sustainability. Also, we had a meeting, and I called the scope of the meeting a bit hypocritical. Imagine this: you're gonna now use up how many computing and resources and servers and whatnot just to calculate how much of green IT do you actually have in your organization? Right? So it's a bit, I'm using a lot of CO2 just to calculate how much of CO2 I can reduce, right? But anyway, green computing is something that you need to look into. I think it's super important, especially with these data centers that are built underwater and so on and so forth. So there's definitely something to do for us in the testing space as well in that area. And of course, automating all you can around security and compliance, which is easier said than done, because mostly the security team is mostly sitting outside of the regular testing team. So, but security and compliance automation again is super important, especially given the absolute hilarious level of security that most of the major companies have. I mean, how many times have you heard this company was hacked, this company was hacked, this company was hacked? It's like almost on a daily or weekly basis, right? Then in terms of quantum technology, this is also super important. So for cybersecurity, this is absolutely paramount. I've seen a lot of new jobs are also coming out as well in terms of quantum programming and testing. But for cybersecurity, I think quantum technology, especially for the encryption of communications and so on and so forth, is actually absolutely going to be crucial. Now, in terms of AI engineering, now there's a couple of differentiations here that you need to be aware of. Number one is you are testing with AI, you are testing for AI. Two complete separate distinct notions. Testing with AI means that you will be using generative AI capabilities to test your applications that you are normally testing with. And there's a trend in here where you have access to public LLMs. And the customers now are saying, hang on a second, I'm not going to expose my data to ChatGPT and to OpenAI. So the major trend that we've seen now going on in the market is custom LLMs. So have a test tool solution that complements a custom LLM that's ring-fenced within a client, and that's the way to go. And of course, that will require a lot of testing that we will be obviously a part of. Testing for AI is all about testing AI systems themselves, and that's mostly around the data models and how you train them and how you validate them, right? And then of course you got GenAI-assisted exploratory testing, and again autonomous testing. And I've put that in two places, and I've deleted that and I forgot. So, autonomous testing is again machine. Oh no, yeah, put it up there. It's fine. It's machine-assisted generating of test scripts that will be done automatically for you. And with that, I'm thirsty and I'm hungry, but let's open up for questions. You got